Welcome to your sophomore year at the Tragedy Academy, where you are the teacher and we are the students. Together, we will learn from past tragedy to lay the foundation for a better humanity. The only supplies you'll need: an open mind and a sense of humor. So, tilt that chair back, talk out of turn, and never raise your hand. Because this is the Tragedy Academy and class is in session. I'm Purist Scott. Welcome to the Tragedy Academy, a show created to bridge societal divides in a judgment-free zone using candor and humor. My name is Jay, and today I am joined by Theoni Bekiari. How are you, Theoni?
Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to be here. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's that time of year here where it starts raining at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm in Florida, so summertime is nothing but rain.
Oh,
How about yourself? How you doing?
I'm really good. I'm from Greece and living in LA, which means only summer all year.
That's not fair. Just rub that in. The two beautiful places. Oh, just Greece and LA. Nothing special.
Yeah.
So Greece, that's on my list of places to go. I mean, the food, the culture, and all those things. What brings someone from Greece to LA?
Well, studies for the most part. I am an actress. I finished my master's degree in dramatology in Greece, actually. And then I came here to further my studies in acting in the American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
So you're looking to pursue the creative arts and acting and that kind of thing. Have you done any to date?
Yes. Since I'm a student, I've only done student films so far. I am graduating the 13th of this month, so pretty close there.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm one of the classes that finished online. It was really interesting.
The first round of people that had to come out of a pandemic acting online and moving forward that way. So you really experienced a lot of changes in the creative arts.
Yeah, and it was so interesting. And I think I got so much. You know, one of the student films that I did was completely filmed online. But the theme had to do with online. So it fitted so well. And I was really happy to see all these innovations. So the arts won't stop during this time, you know?
Yeah, it's adapt and overcome. You know, it's amazing what we can accomplish when there are no capabilities in the past ways that we did things. Yeah. As soon as you put that up, it's what is it? The necessity is the mother of all invention or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that the phrase? And I loved how the arts really were able to, honestly, I felt like it flourished while it paused for a certain amount of time, because I mean, there's the initial shock of everything that's happening. But if you want innovative people, go to the artists. They're going to find a way to get their art out.
We were like, we are gonna act.
Yeah, exactly. So what did you see during that time that really struck you as a way to get out somebody's art? Was there anything in particular?
I think that before the pandemic, I had just started like 2 months at the academy, right? So when it hit, I was like, my dreams are over. Whatever I worked for is out to the trash. But it felt like that click happened, you know, like everyone started finding ways. Like I've seen and I've been in so many different type of productions during the pandemic. Like there are some where we just address that we're online and you will look at each other at the screen. There are others that trick the audience and I look at the side and I'm playing with my lamp, but you see that as if I'm playing with the other person. We even did a short film online where we're supposed to be at the park with the other person. And if you see it, like 99% you don't understand that we're not next to each other.
That's amazing. You know,
it was.
When I first started working on this show, I had a co-host. His name was Eric, and he lived in Pennsylvania, and I live in Florida. So it took so long to be able to get our audio to match and sound a professional quality as if we were in the same room really took a long time. So I can definitely see how difficult that is. I couldn't imagine trying to integrate that style of video into it as well. So kudos to you guys. But see, I think that your generation is the best to go through this because you adapt to change, because everything changes like every 10 minutes for you guys.
Yeah, I think that that's a basic thing of human beings. We adapt and we need to adapt, right? Because everything changes for us, but at least we got the internet. Like imagine when like pandemics happened in the past and people were just in the house and they knew nothing. I was really excited to create during this time. Like it gives you like an excitement, doesn't it?
It does. I feel like that because it's, for me, I couldn't imagine what it would be like, right? To be around during, like, say, the Renaissance. Let's use like the most influential time that we could talk about. And it comes on the back of so many catastrophic things, right? And so many situations. It's almost as if, because dynamics changed around art then. Everything changed. And I feel like this is this generation or this lifetime's form of a renaissance, because it's forcing people to connect emotionally in ways that they never had to in the past. They're having to forego all physical contact, yet remain a human and remain contacted. That is super hard to do, and it's created some amazing art that bring people together.
Exactly. And it made me realize, except like everything has its ups and downs, but it made me realize how much a text is worth, because me being in LA, not able to see my family now for a year and a half, I haven't seen them yet. It has been like the ability to see them on Skype calls or on any calls, FaceTime them. That's exactly how we made a piece about it, actually. Well, I made a self-produced short movie that got picked up by Yonder Window Productions, and it's called I Am Here, and it's exactly about how alone we are, but how with one text you can be there for someone. And
that's beautiful. And before we end the show today, make sure that you give us where people can go to see that. That's an amazing story. And did you feel called to do that? Because of the situation? Was it something that you felt was a necessity to put out?
It was something that I needed. It was like as a person, I have the motto, love is the answer, right? I believe that everything can be answered with love. And in this period of a lack of ability to show your love physically, I felt the love from my family through the internet, and I felt the need to show my love to other people, because I went through a dark month, I'd say, during this time, and I wanted to give that love to other people, to be like, you know what, if you see this piece, it's like 2 minutes, I am here, So
2 minutes can change someone's life forever.
Yeah.
It really can. I do agree with you in that we need to communicate better. I feel like though, what you're describing, because text is a horrible place to lose context very quickly, and it can split families. Lives can break in half over miscommunication. That's why I firmly believe in emoticons. If you're not using emoticons, then everybody on the other end is going to have a question mark every time you send it. They need to know that you said it with a smile. They need to know that how you conveyed it. But I think also that this may be a bridge to us making better connections with other cultures and other people around the world without needing to be face to face anymore. Exactly. The fact that we were forced into a situation to have to do that within our own family, it allowed us to have that modicum of communication built. And once that's built, you have no more excuses for not talking to somebody in another country, or understanding their plight. The internet's a great thing. It's a double-edged sword, but it does bring a lot of people. It calls you on the carpet. Now you got no choice. Be good or get the hell out.
Yeah, that's so true. And also on that, I co-host a YouTube channel called Blended, right? So it's about blending different cultures. And we started again a little bit, during COVID, but it was so awesome that like we hosted one of my friends from China. Like, how were we going to do that before? And we both tried Chinese snacks or snacks from China, and my friend from Mexico, so it really brings people together.
I love that because there's so much to celebrate. We always focus on the differences. And I think the reason for that is we're scared that we don't understand them. And when we don't understand them, we don't know whether they're good, bad, or if they make us look good or bad. And we just choose not to engage or to ridicule. Instead of celebrating great food, great culture, fun times. And by the way, snacks out of Asia. I lived in Japan. I can tell you, first of all, the first thing I figured out is Americans eat shit super sweet, like super sweet.
I noticed that.
Our stuff is out of control compared to other countries. And and they have the most creative packaging in the world.
True. I was so amazed to see the noodles came with a spoon inside. And I was like, that's genius.
Right. It's so simple. Yet that's because like in the convenience stores, you basically get like a full meal. I used to buy sushi in the convenience store and it wasn't scary. Like in the US, if you buy sushi at a convenience store, you are guaranteeing a bad night. But this is actually real sushi.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So you're living in the pandemic.
Yes.
You're finding creativity, you're bridging gaps, you're coming up with new ways to reach people. But where were you in all of this? What happens to you when you're sitting there? Because we had to forego all kinds of relationships, all kinds. And when we first started talking, you had mentioned that you were pansexual, right?
Yes.
Being pansexual, what is that like?
Everyone's journey is different, right? So I am under the umbrella of pansexual to describe my sexual attractions. So at first, being in Greece, I didn't even know what pansexual is, right? I knew that I liked, back then I was like, I like both genders, but I don't feel connected with the word bisexual. So I was like, I'm just me. When I came to the US, I had discussion with a friend of mine that helped me understand that it's what you feel comfortable with and you don't have to prove to anyone anything. Because I was like, yeah, but like, do I qualify for this label? Do I qualify for that other label? And I went through a whole journey. And the moment that I saw the word pansexual and the meaning of it, I was like, that's where I am, because basically pansexual doesn't mean that I'm attracted to everyone, but it means that I am attractive to a person no matter their sex, gender, their sexual identity, So
you brought up a great point. That's a huge misconception about what these gender specifications or how people identify or where they're going. When someone, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, please, that a lot of times people think that there's some kind of bonus attachment to nefarious sexual intention behind a gender specification or a declaration of what you or what someone feels attracted to. I feel like it started like when people used to say like, well, if somebody's gay, then they want to like be with every man on the planet and they're going to chase me down and they're going to act like this and they can't see me this way and all these things.
Yeah.
Is that something that you found comes along with it?
I've had that misconception many times. I am, so far at least, I am in monogamous relationships, right? Every time, like that's my style, I guess. But everyone, when they hear pansexual, they think that I'm doing crazy things with many people and I'm not faithful. And I'm like, just chill. It means that I can like you. It doesn't mean that I like you, specifically you, And then when I first came out as pansexual, it was difficult for me to be okay. How I let people know, to differentiate that, oh, you're my friend. I'm not attracted to you, and you're not my friend. I'm attracted to you. And it took me so long to feel comfortable with, I don't have to specify it. Like, you're my friend. I'm not hitting on you. You'll know if I hit on you.
So would you say that was your own hang up internally that you didn't realize you had?
It was, yeah. It was
to a degree.
For sure my problem, but it was a fear of making other people uncomfortable with who they think I am. You know what was interesting? It really helped me. I had a friend who, she had no idea what pansexual is. She didn't know many of the LGBTQ plus.
This is uncharted territory for myself as well.
For many people, and that's totally fine. I didn't know what transgender is like 3 years ago, and then I just educated myself because I feel it's really healthy to ask questions. So she started asking me really, quote unquote, simple questions, right, for me. And I kept answering them, and she educated herself on me being her friend. The point is, if you ask questions and you come from a point where you really just want to learn and you're not just asking them to disprove another human being, then you're on the right track. And it doesn't matter how much you know, as long as you're open to learn.
I like that. It's not how much you know, it's that you're open to learn. And I like that you brought this up because it's a two-way street in these situations, because I think what we fail to realize as a society is that change is terrifying to people. It's terrifying under every circumstance because it forces people to relook and evaluate their own internal moral compass, and as well as probably their own internal struggles that they had that they didn't say out loud their entire lives. I don't know. I can't say that I understand or that I should what somebody's preference of any kind is, but I can certainly respect anything that allows for someone to love another person or themselves. Nothing more, nothing less. Why would I have a problem with it? It's just simply a way to express love for another human in the way that you feel most comfortable, as far as I can see.
Yeah, and for yourself, because being true to yourself helps you be healthy in mind and body. And I would say that it's really natural to have a fear of change. Like, it's really ingrained in us. I studied it in university, that it's one of the basic mechanisms of survival, right? So the thing where we go wrong is that we take it as a fact instead of as something that can change with knowing more things. As you said before, due to internet, now we're exposed to so many information, right? And sometimes they're contradicted. So that makes us even more scared because everything is coming to us. What I would say is, since it doesn't affect you, and not affect you like, I don't like that because it's not happening to you, but if it doesn't affect you, then let it be, and slowly, at your own pace, as you're comfortable, ask questions that you want answers to. But,
I like that.
But also nobody is obliged. I think, nobody's obligated to answer. But you'll find answers if you ask questions. You'll find the person to answer them.
You know, and I think it comes from the position with which you ask the question from. If you genuinely, like you were explaining it, humans are filters, man. They're smart. We know what we're doing. And it's funny that when one human comes to another with their hands open or their heart open, genuinely, the other won't have a problem having a discussion because they can feel and know that this person's intentions are real. And it's just the way that we reciprocate things. Just do unto others, as simple as that.
Though also there are some questions that we actually need to understand. And there are some questions that we're just curious. Like, many people ask, so what's your private parts? I'm like, who asks that,
They literally ask you that, you know what? That just shows that there's a lot of confusion.
They ask many people that are state that they're transgender. And I'm like, why? Like, you only need to know the pronouns, you know? You don't need to know if you're not their partner. You don't need to know or how it happens, you know?
I'm so bad though at people's names that I feel like pronouns are even worse for me. And this is just being honest. Like, I don't try to address anybody as anything but person, you know, because that's just what people are. But I could honestly say that there is no way that I would not trip over my vowels and consonants a couple of times before I fuck it up and use the wrong pronoun. I know I would. What do you do then? Because I feel like people are afraid that if they adopt this and they make mistakes, and I'm speaking for people that I don't know, but I can only make a guess about. And I feel like they feel like they are being told that they were never right before and they should be ashamed of their past, understandings of life. And then, the other half is they don't know what's going to happen if they screw it up, because there are on both sides, there's always a radical side of people that will push something the wrong way, and it diffuses the ability of everybody else to just simply have a conversation. So I feel like there are going to be those people that will be terrified to say anything or that they're going to screw it up. What would you say to them?
Well, I'm not an expert on the subject, but what I would do, because me being part of the LGBTQ plus community doesn't mean that I don't do mistakes, or that I won't screw up at some point. I feel like if you do a mistake, if you unpurposely misgender someone and you realize, just like admit that you did a mistake and so that you didn't mean to, and like fix it. It's like doing any other mistake. Yes, it's going to be awkward. It's going to be awful because the mistake happened, but it's better to show them that it wasn't from a bad place since it happened. Also, another kind of easy fix is you can just, when you introduce yourself to someone, to state your pronouns, like, hi, I'm Theoni Bekiari, I go by she, her. And then the other person will state their pronouns, and then no problem,
Wow. See, and this is new to me because I've never, to be honest, it showed up on my radar in an email. I don't watch the news. I do not watch the news. But like during the pandemic, I turn it on once a day to make sure there's no COVID zombies, and I shut it back off because I don't need to know what the hell anybody else is thinking. I got enough shit in my own head. Right. So I was not aware of this, the degree of it. That's not to say that it did not have the weight that it does. It is extremely important. If it hurts one person in their heart, it's a bad thing, right? And it needs to be addressed, and we have to look at people and allow them to be who they are. It was new to me though. And I got to tell you, I didn't understand squat. And like you said, the whole, like when someone said pansexual to me, I didn't know. Of course, the human mind goes to what different types of things have been said to you till then, how you can differentiate. I landed somewhere around like that has to be somebody, it's pan. So that's the world, right? That's all inclusive. So I'm guessing that's somebody that includes everybody. And I'm guessing that nobody wants everybody at the same time, right? So that's probably not it. And I did have a moment where I was like, well, I wonder what gender goes along with that scenario, because there's so many different words out there. But I think this is what people need to hear. Yeah.
Well, that's easier for me to kind of answer, again, for myself, because I can't speak for all pansexual people. I don't have a degree on like sexual studies.
You mean you all don't know each other?
No.
It's not a club?
Well, if there's a club, please let me know. I'd like to be a part of it. But
I love that.
For me, it doesn't have to do at all with the gender. If you're a human being, I may be attracted to you given the like circumstances and the way you think and stuff.
It's funny that you have to say may. It's funny that you have to say may. Like, Isn't everybody on the planet saying may? Like, because it's whether or not you are. I may. I'm going to get a shirt that says I may.
Yeah,
I may.
That's nice. That's nice, actually.
Hey, academics. Have you endured life's tragedies, trials, and tribulations? Did you adapt and overcome? Do you have advice for others to pay forward and want to be a guest? Then email us a brief 2 to 3 minute video to show@thetragedyacademy.com and tell us how our academics can learn and grow from these experiences. Thanks again for your support. And now, back to class.
Thing that I saw during the pandemic was all this craze about men wearing skirts and how that's not manly and stuff. And I just wanted to say, as a person that has studied history as my degree, right? I have a master's. We don't even need to look that back, but so many civilizations and cultures, the men wear skirts, and that's so manly. You know,
I gotta say, if there was a set of gear that you could wear with a man's setup down there, I'm thinking skirt is the easiest thing to let you breathe and run around.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, man. A lot of hunters were Native Americans, wore the cloths. They ran across the. They had no problem. I feel like there's a lack of chafing in that scenario.
Yeah, and not only that, in Greece, the ancient Greek warriors, they were wearing fustanella, which is a skirt basically, and they would show their private parts in battle to scare the enemy, right? So it was really on the air.
No. Hold on a minute. They would flash their enemy. So it had to be some kind of did they? God, man. See, now you. This was such a clean show. We were talking about hard-hitting things, but I gotta know, was this did they grab all the dudes that were known for being the biggest and put them out in front just to make those guys feel worse? Or I can't imagine what. I'd probably laugh if somebody stood in a line and did that. I'd feel like it was Monty Python or some shit.
My brother had the same question when we learned about that. He was did they just find the best people in the village?
That's some leftover monkey stuff, right? That's leftover monkey stuff. Like Joe Rogan says that. That's got to be don't gorillas or monkeys or somebody, they do a penile display? I think I've heard that term before. Where they're get aggressive.
All animals display their best parts, like peacocks and everyone. And even in society now, people showcase their best part. So I guess that was their best and they showcased it. That's not a very good part, man. I'll take one for the team and say we don't have nothing that looks great there. It's a situation that I feel bad for whomever is on the other end of that situation, because it's just gross. Men are disgusting. Well, I wouldn't say that. It's a really fun joke. Yeah.
We tend to be pretty gross, but that's at least the men that I grew up around. We were not the most attractive brood.
That's so funny because we say, I think that men are more allowed, quote unquote, to be openly disgusting. Women, typically, if they are disgusting, again, quote unquote, they have to keep it a dirty secret. So
women are the most oppressed people on the planet. And I know that I just probably pissed off the world in so many different races, but dude, you guys have been in servitude for as long as we can remember. You've been said that you are not enough of a human next to your mate, or told, geez, let's look at nowadays. Hi, little girl. When you're old enough, we'll give you this set of stuff to rub on your face so you're acceptable in society.
Yeah.
How fucked up is that?
Yeah.
Right? Women have been screwed over and over and over again throughout time. Fuck, you just got started voting in the U.S. There are people alive that couldn't vote as women.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah. There are men. It's crazy to me how people can look at other people and be like, yeah, not equal with me, not human enough. In general, women too, but in general, it just amazes me. I don't know. I'm really, I have faith in humanity though. Like
I do too. I feel like, and maybe correct me or not even correct me if I'm wrong. I want to get your opinion on this. I feel like that part of this is evolutionary. I feel like we've outgrown certain mindsets that got us to where we are, and they were required in order to thrive as a human population, be it, societal norms or, jobs or whatever they are. But that we've hit a breaking point and that you can no longer continue to differentiate yourselves between people because it's actually anti-symbiotic and that it hurts us. And actually, when we discriminate from within, it's just cancer and a larger organism of humanity. And I feel like your generation, be it so many different ways, as we're discussing, are bridges to the gaps of bringing people ultimately empathetic to one another and not worrying about who cares who's screwing who. Right? Because that really makes no sense to me. I don't care who's doing what behind whatever door or who they love or who they identify as or whatever else. Yeah. Just be cool.
Yeah. Just be cool. I like that.
That's our tagline. Be cool, keep learning.
Wow, I love that. Especially the keep learning part and the be cool.
You can only be something unless you decide to repeat it. You can only be someone once. You can repeat the good acts, or you can stop repeating them, right? And the same with the bad, right? But we got to let people move on from old ways of thinking with ease. Yeah. You can't let somebody take on a new understanding and smack them for what they used to believe. It's just, no, I'm not saying you. I'm saying as a whole, in any situation, we have to in change.
I agree. I see at the same time, like, it's so important to not completely shock people because that just closes them down. But at the same time, but at the same time, you can't tell people that are oppressed, like, and it has been told so many years, so many different oppressed groups that, like, slowly wait, like, you're better where you were 5 years ago. So it's really interesting. But something that my dance teacher said, but I took it to my life too, is that if it feels like it's escaping you by 2 seconds, you're in the right pace to learn. So if you feel like it's a little too much for you, you're in the right pace to learn or to change.
Stay uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Stay uncomfortable. No, you should. You should, because it gives you the ability to continue to change.
Yeah.
If you're stagnant in your beliefs, you're not going to become a more well-rounded person. You're not going to become a more accepting human if you think that yours is the only way when you haven't heard the full story of the other side so that you can relate. Because what people don't realize is that the love is no different between two people in gender specifications than it is between the old dynamic or whatever dynamic there is. Love is love. It just is.
Yeah. I would say that the problem for me is where people have their way of thinking, and that's the one and only truth. That's problematic in literature too. Like, people in literature have not decided on a text for centuries, and then one person comes and is like, no, how I direct it is the only truth. And that's problematic because it's one way, and it's amazing what you're doing, but it's not the only way. So when people, I feel, realize that them accepting other ways of life doesn't really have to change their way of life, because people accepting, for example, gay marriage doesn't mean that they need to do that. They need to marry a person of the same sex, So when you see that your way is one of the colors of the rainbow, for example, that's when you start understanding, because the fear has to minimalize, right? Because it doesn't affect you. So why are you scared of it?
So I agree with you. And I would like to also add on to that that group of people that you're discussing, the ones that are sitting and stonewalling any additional knowledge or anything of that nature. Two things. One, I would say that there's no need to change their mind. And two, there's no need to even, I guess two is kind of a moot point with the first. So I would say that anytime someone has that kind of position where they're vehemently or adamantly denying someone else's being or who they are, it's a mirror. It is and always will be a mirror. And I don't care who out there tells me anything different. That's how we work. It's yin and yang. We scream at what we are because we're not allowed to be it ourselves. I can guarantee you, the ones that stonewall are the ones that hurt the most. They're the ones that really do not know that they feel, or they even know. They know. They know deep down that they have the same feelings as every color in that rainbow, or whichever one is theirs. Whichever one belongs to them, they have lived a life long enough and under enough societal norms to hate themselves to the degree that they have to give it to anybody else because they don't want them to be happy if they can't be.
That's really interesting. As an actress, I have been called to play characters whose views did not understand. And the trick there is that the audience should not feel like the actor does not agree with the role. You know, like if I play a homophobic, I should not approach them from a place of hate to show that I'm not homophobic. You know, the biggest trick is to approach the role from a place of love, like really love and understand that person without that meaning that you will eventually agree with them. But that's what gave me the idea about what you said before and what we said about love being the answer. Like if you're why are you like that? Why are you scared? Why blah, blah, blah? So it gives me, again, a way of saying to every person that I am trying to understand you and I am ready to give you all my love and answers any questions. And I feel like the new generation is taught more from society to not hate is going to be able to multiply that love. That's my hope.
I agree with you. And I think that is happening. I think that, there's going to be people that will never, ever, ever change. And that's just fact. And what I would like to see is not that we don't continue to affect change, because we should. We should continue to push forward with change, acceptance, and those types of things. What I would like to see is people in that rainbow not suffer continuously taking on the hate from people that will not change. And what I would like to see is for them to have the acceptance enough that whatever words or thoughts that those people have, they are not yours to bear. It's their cross to bear, and leave it with them. It shouldn't be something that you take internally.
Yeah, exactly. And how I see it, because people are going to hate on another person no matter. You can be the most quote unquote pretty person in the world, the most perfect, and they're going to hate you because you're so perfect and fake. If someone wants to hate on you for something, they will find it. I just feel sorry for the person that gives the hate or that is really hateful towards a group of people, because imagine they have to live every day seeing the thing that they hate. So at the end of the day, they live a life full of sadness and anger. So
that's a horrible place to be. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is it's a choice internally to take on any of those things, anything, for God's sakes, any emotion, any, mental issue or any of those things. We're backed into such a corner, and our generations before us, much more so than ourselves, they don't realize that the game is what's causing the mental issue, not the people around them. the fact that they even exist, that people have to navigate a social construct in order to find love. What kind of mating ritual is a fucking prom, right? Let's think about that. In order for two people to think about mating, because they're all trying to do it at that age, right? You have to work for like 6 months, you got to rent a tux, you got to do this, you got to buy a flower, put it on a wrist, go and do all these things. We're fucking nuts. And then it cracked the world when two people wore tuxedos or two people wore a dress or they flipped it around. Like, who gives a fuck what they wear? I don't care.
Yeah.
Just be cool.
You know what's crazy? We don't have prom in Greece. So
you don't?
No. So what I've seen from movies, but I understand totally the reference.
No, I almost forgot something, and I have to show you this before we end the show because I have to talk about this.
Yes,
Hold on
please.
just 1 second. All right. So you're from Greece.
Yes.
And I encourage you to go back and listen to a very old episode where Eric and I had something, we called it, it's like a detention episode. It's like 15 minutes long. Mm-hmm. We had an episode where we were discussing world, like traditions, things like Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy. In this particular instance, it was the Tooth Fairy, right? And we were reading through what different countries, and how they, which ones they have. And Greece came up and we found out that, and I'm not sure if this is correct because the internet lies all the time, but that you throw the teeth on the roof of the house after you lose them as a kid. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's true.
What you didn't know about your tradition, I'm gonna break you. I'm gonna show you. This here is called the tooth pelican. And in Greece, when your teeth leave the roof, it's actually a pelican that comes in, picks up the teeth, carries them back to Mr. Papadopoulos, who actually has a leather strap on his arm, and he wrangles it, and they bring the teeth back to him in their pouch under their neck.
That's beautiful. You know how many Papadopoulos we have in Greece?
Exactly. It was the most stereotypical name we could come up with.
I love this. Pelican.
You have to tell your children. You know where this came from? We had a listener in Australia, Damien. He 3D printed this to one for each of us, painted it and sent it. It's going to be in the studio forever. But I just wanted you to know that further portion of your culture.
Thank you.
If you don't pass that on to your children, I'm going to be very hurt.
Thank you so much. They'll see me wherever I am in the world throwing teeth on the rooftop.
Waiting for the tooth pelican.
That's beautiful. Amazing. It's a beautiful little pelican. Like, I was going to ask you where you bought it. I want one for myself.
You know what? That should be a piece of merch that we end up doing down the road. We should. I bet you have to, dude. Theoni, I can't thank you enough for coming on here and really opening up about things that are so personal, so deep, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for having that courage and that candor to put yourself in front of people and say things like this.
Yeah, thank you. It was so nice being here with you. It just felt like a talk with a friend.
That's, and that's what I aim for. I prefer it that way. And I appreciate that. You're always welcome to come back.
Yay.
And if there's anything to everybody out there, if there's anything I said that you did not think was correct, or if you think that I could use some further understanding, send me an email, show@thetragedyacademy.com. I'm always open to learning more things. Theoni, is there, do you have any social media that you want to put out there for people to look you up, or if you want to put out your YouTube channel?
Yeah, on Instagram, probably you can see all of my newest projects and projects to come, which is my name, like Theoni.Bekiari. Not really easy to spell.
We'll have that. Yeah, no, it'll be in the show notes, and it'll be in the posts that we put out. So they'll be able to find you pretty easily.
Nice.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming in. And remember, academics, be cool and keep learning. Hey, academics, thanks again for attending another class at the Tragedy Academy. You can show us some love by subscribing, downloading, and rating us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. Or ask Amazon Alexa to play the Tragedy Academy podcast. You can find links to all major podcast platforms and past episodes at thetragedyacademy.com. You can find us on all the majors of social media, on Instagram at The Tragedy Academy 2019, on TikTok at The Tragedy Academy, and on Twitter at Tragedy_Academy, where we'll post our clips of upcoming shows, updated info, and thoughts. If you'd like to be a guest, send an email to show@thetragedyacademy.com. Keep an eye out on Instagram for Tragedy Academy giveaways. Thanks again for coming to class, and remember, be cool, keep learning.